What's up, everyone? Joe Carrel here, and I am honored and excited to be with you today to announce the release of Harrison Mixbus 11.1. And I'm extra excited today because I get to do the announcement in front of an actual 32 Classic console from Harrison. Now, when we talk about the 32 Classic, we talk about a heritage that's very deep inside the music industry. We talk about a legacy of Fleetwood Mac, Michael Jackson, Steely Dan, and a lot of others. So it's really an incredible product. And when we talk about analog consoles, we can't get away from the fact that most of us that have been lucky enough to work on consoles like this one sitting behind me still love that workflow. We still believe it's the best workflow that there is. The fact that we have EQs, we have buttons and knobs and faders all right in front of us with easy access at any time we want to. Plus, the fact that as we start building our mix, we're getting an analog vibe, an analog character, something contributing to our sound quality right from the beginning of our workflow is still what we aspire, even when we're working inside the box, which leads me back to Mixbus 11.1. If we take a look at the screen here, we can see that it actually looks like we're working on an analog console, and it feels like we're working on an analog console, and that's why Mixbus has developed such a loyal following. So for example, right now we see the EQs. We don't have to create them. These are already here, right out of the gate. Speaking of gates, look, boom, click a button, and there we're looking at our gates. We click another button, we're looking at our various compressors. We click another one, and we see all of our sends and our routing and our Mixbus assignments. It's just beautiful and easy, and the fact is everything is already there. We don't have to create knobs. The knobs are already there. I mean, that's what a novel concept that is, right? Now, Mixbus comes in two different tiers, and let me click on the EQ knob here. So regardless of which one we get, 11.1 or 11.1 Pro, we have all these Harrison 32 Classic 4-band EQ and filters, which are known to be very smooth, very musical. They have a real footprint in the history of recorded music. But by stepping up to 11.1 Pro, we get a couple extra benefits. One of those benefits is the fact that we have a second flavor, an optional flavor of EQ. We step up to the SSL 9000 console, and you see that familiar red, green, blue, and black knobs, as well as our filters, and it gives us the option to choose different flavors across different elements of the mix right out of the gate. No other software necessary. And another thing that's really cool to me, by clicking the compressor button, you see all of these compressors that we get built in on every channel, right from the get-go on these Harrison strips right here. But if you step up to the Pro, we also get, look right here, we have the SSL flavor that we can assign anywhere within the mix. And if you know anything about me, or even the history of recorded music, you know that one of the most prominent sounds that became iconic as far back as the 80s is the sound of the SSL channel strip compressor. So now we can assign that anywhere within our mix. And when we talk about SSL dynamics, we're not just talking about the compressor, we're also talking about the gate expander. So we click on gate right here, and you can see we have assignable flavors between Harrison and SSL here as well. So we have two different flavors built in right out of the gate of Harrison and SSL on EQs, noise gates, expanders, as well as compressors. And speaking of plugins and options, right here currently we see we have all of our SSL and Harrison beauties lined up here at the top. But right here is where we would also use all of our third-party plugins. So many of you already own a lot of plugins from Slate and various other companies, and you could insert them here. So in addition to the two flavors that come with Mixbus Pro, you could have unlimited numbers, basically. Now, one of my other favorite things about the Pro version is the fact that it has Atmos capability built in. And it's not just any Atmos capability, it's the Harrison Atmos capability. And to me, it's by leaps and bounds the most user-friendly, ergonomically laid out the way you think it would be laid out, least amount of clicks to get to the end result as possible, and it just makes Atmos easy. Another new included feature that I think is going to be a big deal to a lot of you is the fact that we now have the Harrison Creator Pack included. So what is the Creator Pack? It is a toolbox full of useful sounds that's going to help take your productions to the next level. We have samples from Slate Digital. We have the highly revered classic electric piano sound from Lounge Lizard. Some electric guitar and bass guitar goodies from IK Multimedia and their highly acclaimed Amplitude software. We also have the really useful acoustic guitar strum session. And lastly, the really killer analog synth. Some of you may recall a few months ago I made a video when version 11 came out where I pulled in some multitracks and did a very quick mix using only the built-in tools, and it sounded a little something like this. And one of the reasons it sounds like that right out of the gate with so little treatment is the fact that I have all these drive features. So we are getting analog sound and saturation right out of the gate on the various tracks. We can assign that to our buses. We can assign it to the stereo master. It's a very, very powerful tool. Now, in addition to the built-ins, what you'll see, a new little insert here that I didn't have back when I filmed version 11. And you're like, well, what is that? Well, I'm about to tell you. And that is the fact that we have this really cool box right here, this Harrison D510 500 series chassis, which accepts up to 10 modules at one time in the 500 series format. And I know you've seen 500 series chassis before. That's nothing new. What's new about this is now it comes with an optional digital card that we can insert right into the back that gives us ADAT, USB, and Dante in and out. So even inside of our DAW, using no cables other than a USB cable, I'm actually able to insert analog gear into my session. So that's what this insert is. Right now, for example, I have it hitting this SSL ultraviolet EQ on the stereo bus. So check it out. No cables except for a USB. Check it out. So we just added some air and we added some nice bottom end to our mix analog. So now this is the only processor I currently have going. However, what if I put an SSL bus compressor on there followed by the ultraviolet or so many other pieces of gear that exist in the 500 series format? I can actually build an analog mix inside the box with one USB cable. Another new feature to me that really stood out is the fact that we now have real-time analyzer built onto every channel, but it goes beyond that. So check it out. At its core level, we want to know what the acoustic guitar is up to frequency-wise. So we just click the little RTA button, push play, and there you have it. And beyond that, if we want to know how that acoustic guitar is stacking up against the whole mix, we can actually include the RTA on the stereo bus, and we see the whole mix along with the instrument that we want to focus on. Speaking of improvements, we do have a few others as well. We have improved MIDI capabilities, we have improved piano roll, and we also have improved clip editor capabilities. So thank you for joining me on this tour of what's new about Mixbus 11.1. I know I'm excited about a lot of this. The fact that I can have one USB cable that brings me right into the real analog world is awesome. I love the fact that I now have one of my favorite compressors of all time, which is the channel strip compressor from SSL built in. The real-time analyzer, I mean, don't get me started, right? We've already been over all this stuff, but I think it's a great new improvement. So whether you're looking for a new second DAW that just has an analog vibe, or whether you're new to the game and you have a background in analog workflow and you want something that just feels right out of the gate, seems to make sense, everything's where you think it should be, maybe Mixbus 11.1 is the tool for you. All right, guys? Happy mixing.